All right, let's really get into something quite extraordinary today. Okay, let's unpack this. We've received a fascinating set of notes from a listener, let's call her Ice, about a series of increasingly unsettling events she experienced. This isn't just a spooky tale, it's a deep dive into how seemingly small actions can lead to truly impactful and frankly terrifying consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. What's fascinating here is how Ice's story brings to light the idea that our words, even in moments of frustration, might carry more weight than we ever imagined. We're going to piece together the sequence of events and see what they reveal about cause and effect in unexpected ways. It's quite a sequence.
It really is. So Ice's story begins when she moved temporarily to Ubon Ratchathani in Thailand. Her boyfriend had training in Bangkok for a year, so the plan was for her to stay with his brother and sister-in-law.
Okay, makes sense.
And for the first week or so, she says everything was perfectly normal, just settling in.
Usual adjustment.
Exactly. But here's a really crucial detail. Her sister-in-law was very diligent about giving Ice flowers for prayer on Buddhist holy days. These are called Wankan and Wanphra. They're significant days for prayer, offerings, making merit, important stuff.
Right, very important in the local culture and spiritual practice.
It's
a regular thing.
A very regular thing. But as time went by, Ice admits she started, slacking off. She'd get distracted by video calls with her boyfriend, long-distance relationship.
Sure.
Or playing games, watching shows. And these prayers, this practice kind of fell by the wayside.
Neglecting the ritual.
Yeah, and this little shift, it seems small, but it sets a very interesting stage for everything that happened next. So the first really weird thing happened on a Wankan, one of those holy days. Ice was just, doing her thing, when suddenly the dogs in the alley outside just erupted.
Erupted how?
Intense howling. But not just random barking. It started at the beginning of the alley and moved like a wave, all converging right in front of their house.
Wow. Direct.
Exactly. And even the two dogs they had at the house joined in. Just this deafening chorus. Ice remembers feeling really annoyed at first, but then genuinely scared. Like, her thought was, what kind of day is this?
Understandable reaction. Annoyance turning to fear.
Totally. She ended up putting on headphones and just had to force herself to sleep through it. This relentless howling.
Okay, let's pause there. If we connect this to the bigger picture, in many cultures, dog howling, especially when it's unusual like that, prolonged, seemingly directed, it's often linked to sensing unseen presences. So this raises an important question. Was this just a coincidence, some kind of weird pack behavior? Or was it maybe a signal, a sign that something deeper was starting to stir?
That's chilling. And her fear suggests she felt it was more than just dogs being dogs.
Precisely.
And it didn't stop there. The very next Wanphra, another holy day, it happened again. Ice did her prayers this time, but like clockwork, the dogs started howling again, gathered right out front.
Same pattern.
Same exact pattern. And as she was reaching for her headphones, bam! Her car alarm just goes off. Really loud.
Oh, come on.
Right. So she runs out, checks the car, nothing, nobody near it. The dogs actually stopped howling for a few minutes then, which was weird.
A brief pause.
Yeah. But then they started right back up after maybe 5-10 minutes. And then, just as she's finally getting into bed, the car alarm goes off again.
Unbelievable. That's just targeted harassment almost.
It really feels like it. She was so frustrated and honestly probably pretty freaked out by then. She actually decided not to lock the car.
Just to make it stop.
Yeah, she figured locking it would just trigger the alarm again. Shows how desperate she was for sleep and how unnerved she was becoming.
Completely worn down.
But the night wasn't over. As she's walking back inside after the second car alarm incident, heading to bed, she sees a shadow upstairs, like someone walking up the stairs to the second floor. She naturally assumed it was her boyfriend's brother and sister-in-law, so she calls out, hey, you guys got the day off, why aren't you asleep? Something like that. Yeah. Nothing. No reply. Just silence.
Weird.
Very weird. She was puzzled, went to her room, eventually drifted off, but the next morning she asked them, hey, were you guys up around 3 a.m.?
Not a guess.
They looked at her like she was crazy. Said they'd been dead asleep since 11 p.m.
Wow. So the shadow wasn't them?
Apparently not. She just kind of awkwardly smiled it off, but she thought it was really strange they hadn't replied. And even stranger, the brother. He was known for loving peace and quiet. A private guy.
Right.
Why didn't he come down and yell about the dogs howling their heads off? He must have heard it, right?
Here's where it gets really interesting. The brother's usual calm demeanor and his disinterest, or maybe inability to hear the dogs.
Yeah.
That howling that Ice clearly heard, it suggests a disconnect. This might imply that he simply didn't perceive the disturbance. Or perhaps, and this is the unsettling part, what Ice was experiencing was not shared by everyone in the house. Maybe it was just for her.
That idea is terrifying, being the only one experiencing these things.
Exactly, a sort of localized phenomenon centered on her.
And it just kept escalating. The next one, Con, another holy day.
Oh no.
She felt someone walking around her bed, circling. Repeatedly.
Oh, that's classic poltergeist type activity. Invisible presence.
She was absolutely terrified. Pulled the blanket right over her head, trying to pray, but just too scared to open her eyes and look. Frozen solid.
I can't even imagine.
And outside. The dogs were howling even louder this time, like an amplifier for her fear. She eventually just passed out from exhaustion.
It is sheer mental and physical drain.
Yeah. And then came the final incident on the next one, Fra. This one really pushed her over the edge. She was desperate for some confirmation, that she wasn't losing her mind, so she went to talk to a street vendor near the house.
Trying to find a witness.
Exactly. She asked the vendor and her husband, "Hey, have you guys been hearing dogs howling a lot at night?" And
please tell me they heard something.
Nope. Both of them flat out denied it, said they hadn't heard any dogs howling, not even for many nights.
Wow, that just confirms her isolation.
Completely. She was totally alone in this. She called her boyfriend, absolutely distraught, told him everything. He listened, and his advice was to make merit.
A very traditional and important response in Buddhism, trying to counteract negativity with positive action.
Right. So that night, she tries to sleep, but she's just convinced something else is going to happen. Lying there, waiting almost.
Anticipating it.
And it did. She felt the bed sink next to her, like someone sat down or lay down right beside her.
No.
And then she felt a breath, a soft breath, distinctly on her neck.
Okay, that's direct contact, physical sensation.
She tried to scream, but nothing came out, just couldn't make a sound. Her body felt paralyzed. Sleep paralysis maybe, but triggered by terror.
It sounds like it. Yeah. The classic inability to move or scream during terrifying experiences.
She struggled, fought against it, whatever it was. Eventually she managed to break free, move, jumped up, flipped on the light, and just bolted out of her room.
Straight to the brother's room.
Straight to her brother-in-law's room. Told them everything, breathless, terrified. Her brother gave her an amulet. A Luang Puru Sita Fe amulet.
A protective amulet from a specific revered figure meant to ward off negative influences.
He told her to place it above her bed. But even after that story, both the brother and sister-in-law insisted they never heard any dogs howling, not once.
Still denying the auditory part. It's so specific.
So strange. Anyway, the following week, her boyfriend finally came back from Bangkok.
Thank goodness.
He heard the whole story, everything she'd been through, and immediately took her back to their family home in Det Udom. No more staying at the brother's place.
Wise move. Get her out of that environment.
Her mother listened to everything and suggested taking her to see a well-respected monk at a forest temple in Nam Yuen.
Seeking spiritual help. A common step when things feel beyond the ordinary.
Right. And before they left, her mother asked her to do something specific. Pick 3 flower bouquets from the front of the house. Just normal flowers.
Interesting instruction.
Okay. So they get to the temple. The mother explains the whole situation to the monk, the dogs, the alarm, the shadow, the feeling around the bed, the breath, everything.
Laying it all out.
The monk listens patiently, then asks for the flowers they brought. He tells Ice and her boyfriend to place their bouquets on separate offering trays.
Okay, a ritualistic element.
And then something truly shocking happens, instantly. The moment Ice places her flowers on the tray, they wither, turn black, right in front of everyone.
Whoa.
Immediately. While her boyfriend's flowers, perfectly fine, still fresh.
That is undeniable.
Yeah.
A clear visual sign that something was profoundly attached to her.
Exactly. The monk saw it, gave Ice a sacred thread, told her to close her eyes, calm her mind. Then he asked her very directly.
What did he ask?
"My child, did you disrespect anything? Did you speak ill? Did you speak ill of something you cannot see?"
Getting right to the heart of potential spiritual offenses.
Ice is thinking, racking her brain. She says, "No, nothing specific. I mean, I curse sometimes with friends, normal stuff."
Just everyday frustration, maybe.
But the monk wasn't buying it. He pushed her. "Think harder. They heard everything you said. They are not pleased."
They carol, not pleased. Okay.
And just then her boyfriend speaks up. He prompts her. "Was it the day you dropped me off?"
Here's where it gets really interesting. This little hint from her boyfriend unlocks the entire mystery.
It does. Suddenly, it all came flooding back to ice, she remembered. Driving her boyfriend to the airport, they were running really late.
The pressure was on.
And the road, the alley near the brother's house, it was blocked. Completely blocked by a funeral tent set up right there for a funeral being held at a house at the start of the alley.
Oh, okay. An obstruction during a stressful time.
People were spilling out from the tent onto the road. Traffic jam. She couldn't get through easily. And in that moment, furious, stressed, late, she just lost it.
What did she say?
She cursed loudly, and she remembered the exact word. She said, "Why did they have to die today? There are temples, why not hold it there? It's bothering people coming in and out."
Wow. Disrespectful of the deceased and the mourners.
It gets worse, she went on. This one person is causing so much trouble. What if more people die? Will it always be like this? Annoying others like this? I hope you never get reborn.
Oh my goodness, that last part. I hope you never get reborn. That's a heavy curse in a Buddhist context, denying rebirth.
Extremely heavy. She admitted she said it in just sheer uncontrolled anger.
And the monk said, they heard everything. This raises an important question. Is it the words themselves or the intense negative energy, the intent behind them, that manifested these experiences? The wilting flowers? Her flowers turning black while her boyfriend stayed fresh? That seems to point directly to her actions, her energy, her words being the source of the problem. A direct link.
It really seems like it. So the monk knew what needed to be done. He instructed her to prepare a special offering tray. 9 compartments.
A specific ritual offering.
Yeah. It had to contain specific things. A piece of her shirt cut into a human shape.
A representation of her.
Her nail clippings, some of her hair.
Personal elements linking the offering directly to her essence. Tag locks, essentially.
Right. Plus candles, sticky rice, red rice, standard offering items too. Then came the ritual itself. It took about 30 minutes. She had to keep her palm touching the offering tray, and her feet had to be on the tray as well. Grounding, maybe.
Connecting her physically to the apology, the release, and the sacred thread.
Still on her head during the whole thing. Afterwards, she had to write an apology on a candle. Simple words. Apologize for disrespectful words. Ask for forgiveness.
A formal declaration of remorse.
Then she took a holy bath, a purification bath, and finally she dedicated merit specifically to the deceased person she had cursed so harshly that day.
Completing the circle. Apology, purification, and then a positive act towards the one she wronged.
And what happened after?
Well, since that day, Isis completely refused to go back to the brother's house. She won't even pass by the house where the funeral was held.
Still too scared, the trauma lingers.
Understandably. She calls it an unforgettable, terrifying experience. She feels lucky, though, that it wasn't worse. And her message now is a warning. Be careful with your words, especially when you're angry. Don't speak ill like she did.
So what does this all mean? Isis' experience serves as a powerful, chilling reminder that our words, especially those spoken in anger or disrespect, can have profound, unexpected, and very real consequences. It's a testament to the unseen connections that might exist around us, the energetic weight our intentions can carry.
It really is. And this raises an important question for you, listening. In a world where we often speak impulsively, maybe online, maybe just muttering in traffic, what responsibility do we bear for the energy we put out? Even when we think no one is listening or nothing will come of it. What unseen forces might we be engaging with just by the power of our frustrated words? It's definitely something to think about.
A very sobering thought. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Isis' truly unforgettable experience. And hey, if you found this story compelling, please consider giving us a like, sharing it with someone who might appreciate it, and subscribing to the channel for more stories like this. We'd really appreciate it. Until next time.